So for the people who don't listen, for the people who are like, I know this is going to get uploaded to YouTube, or Alex is going to start clipping this in. This man
Connor
genuinely
asked me to
made me
make clips of
tweak.
our show before
He
this.
made me tweak out for the past 15 minutes. I promise you. So we record on a platform called StreamYard. This guy was playing background music in my ears for 15 minutes, and I didn't know what it was. He made me restart my computer. He thought I was high. We recorded like 10 minutes of the first episode, and I was like, huh, this is going surprisingly smooth. Bam, I hear a bunch of shit in my ear. This guy has lost his mind. But anyways, as I say that, and I'm ranting for the past minute, welcome back to the Kicking Tires podcast. I am your host and the most responsible host, Shola Shole, and I have this
I don't even know how
goofball
media
next to me.
assets work.
I promise you, I don't really pay attention to this thing. I record, I go home. This guy, he's going through each individual thing trying to mess with my head. Anyways, introduce yourself, man. Let's go on with this episode.
I'm Alexander de Verdinas. We're Kicking Tires Podcast. We're for Inside the Rink. For those of you who don't know, this will be up on Twitter. As Shola was talking, I was playing the Media Assets tab, which allows you to put sound effects like this like quacking noise and then like a lo-fi hip-hop beat. So I basically spent the last 15 minutes convincing Shola that like it was coming from his end and I couldn't hear it. It's great. It's a cute little bit. It'll be up on Twitter. But we have bigger fish to fry, unfortunately. So I couldn't keep that going forever. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the 3 games the Red Wings have played last, claiming 5 out of 6 points. We're going to talk about their upcoming Western Canada road trip, Moritz Seider's potential MVP case, Andrew Kopp, James Van Riemsdyk getting hot, and everything on top of that before we get to our weekly MVPs as well as our best moments. So my co-host is still a little bit diluted, so I'll carry you through the first couple of games of the week here. It's good. I had practice doing this in our cut episode. I actually did a recap of the Bruins game. So anyways, Detroit takes on the Boston Bruins. They come out of that game 5-4. 2 late goals from the Bruins makes the score look closer than it actually was. This was a pretty good performance by Detroit's skaters. I think John Gibson played a little bit weak towards the end, but ultimately got them the win, which is the most important stat for him because he's kind of been cold recently. Moritz Seider had a monster game, and it was a good bounce back. He's been much better post the halfway mark in November. He's been picking up a lot of points. He's been playing very good defensively. He's ironed out some of the kinks. There's been some stupid plays. But largely, he's been back to his old self. And it's something that Red Wings fans, including Prashant Thayer, who wrote an article that we're going to talk about later, have been praising him for. And I think that if there is a year that he's going to win the Norris, it's going to take consistently doing this offensive output that he's had, not the 3 points, but like around a point per game. If he can do that, I think he might really be flirting with a Norris trophy. I think MVP might be a little greedy, but Norris trophy for sure might be in the works. So that's something to take consider of. It was a nice story. It was the slump break of the last game at home before Detroit heads on a season-long 6-game road trip. Very few breaks in between. And then their next game was in Columbus. So that's a team where they had that kind of miracle comeback against a couple weeks ago. And it was, I don't want to say like they didn't have a miracle comeback because they did, but then Columbus had a good comeback. This was an absolute barn burner. You had a ton of goals from both sides. The power play looked a lot better. Detroit goes down 3-1. They tie it 3-3. They go down 4-3. They go up 5-4. Columbus ties 5-5. And then the shootout, Kent Johnson, who has some of just the slickest hands in the leagues, dances Cam Talbot and ultimately gives them the win. Cam Talbot had probably his worst performance of the season. A lot of pucks along the ice beating him. One of those games where you'd like him to make a save in the last 2 minutes and really get that last point for Detroit, but ultimately he can't. And it's kind of the typical trend with Cam Talbot. He's good early in the season, and then as it goes on, he kind of tapers off. The age kind of catches up to him. So you're hoping John Gibson can handle a workload, and that's exactly what he did going into Seattle. Another game where the power play was good, but I think they only got the one attempt, and it was the kid goal. It was Emmett Finney, Nate Danielson, and Axel Sandin Pellikka combining for the opening goal of the game. Really good to see. Like I think Danielson and Emmett Finney continue to have really underrated chemistry with one another. And I'd like to see them play on a line full time. Maybe that means moving Casper back up to the top line, maybe get him going, and then keep Danielson, Finney together because they look really good. Ultimately, this is one where John Gibson lets in a couple goals that maybe shouldn't go in, but ultimately, James Van Riemsdyk continuing to be one of the Red Wings' biggest forces helps get them out of it. And Patrick Showtime Kane continues to get his get back for a slow start to the season and gets ever so close to that 500 goal mark. So, do you remember what we were talking about last week for predictions? Do you remember what yours were? Because I remember
I
as
think
we
I
were
said
recording, they were up in Boston.
they would get smoked against Boston. No, I think I said because they lost the first game against Boston, I think. So I think I said they would win. Then I said they were going to get smoked by either Seattle or Columbus. I think I said 2-1 in the week, and I think you also said 2-1 in the week. We were close. They went 2-0-1, so I
Yeah,
guess it counts for something.
yeah,
So
functionally the
we
same.
were, yeah,
We'll take
we
that
were
any
there.
week. I don't think we actually did player predictions there, but I certainly wouldn't have predicted JVR going off as he did. So we've decided to keep the recaps a little bit shorter. We know that if you're watching this, you probably watched the game, so we don't need to berate you. I mean, you get it. So first, we're gonna start with the depth, I guess, because that's kind of the easiest segue. So Andrew Kopp has picked it up a lot this week, and so has James Van Riemsdyk. I mean, James Van Riemsdyk has been hot as ever. He has 5 goals in his past 6 games, like just excellent. And he's playing fourth line minutes. He's up on that second power play. He's scoring big goals too, tying goals, go ahead goals, opening goals. You name it, he's done it. He's doing it in front of the net. He's doing it on breakaways, which as fast as you can go if you're JVR at age 36. It's really nice to see that the depth scoring has finally started to come together. And that fourth line is of kind of Comfer, Rasmussen, and Van Riemsdyk, 2 guys that we both have our gripes with, has come together to form a really consistent line that's, either hemming the other team in or doing enough damage where they've actually been a really good fourth line, like by all metrics in the NHL. Like they've been controlling play. Their Corsi and Fenwick 4 look pretty solid. It's been a good story for them that maybe there's some chemistry there. And it's one of the takeaways that you can have from this week, especially with them. I mean, what have you seen from the fourth line? Really, any of the bottom 9 that you've liked this week?
Man, starting off JVR, holy, I did not like some of the moves I've seen him do this week. I did not know that was his bag at this age. Honestly, like I didn't know he had that in him this much like much into his career. Like I thought he would be okay, like he's there, like obviously he's a competent NHL hockey player. That's why he's on the team, but like the moves that he can put up or that he's putting up right now during this week, like you don't really see that or you don't really expect that from a guy of his age. So I don't know, like out of the bottom 9 in general, Andrew Kopp, when I saw the notification, because I think I had an exam that day, so I was probably sleeping, I checked my phone, see the notification that Andrew Kopp scored. I was like, he can score because like the only goal he's had so far during the season was from the open net, and I saw that he scored an open play, and that's something to be happy for. Seeing that fourth line, third line, wherever they play at, can just add a little bit here and there to scoring to take off the load from Larkin, Raymond, and DeBrincat. Just like seeing that is like calming and like it's just nice to have like for any team. It just takes you over the edge a little bit. I think having that bottom 9 scoring is just it is just good to have. Also the rookies, that power play goal they had, the one that Finney, Larkin, Raymond, and Ben Sherratt connected on was nice. Like seeing those, like the rookies play well after like how they were playing in the preseason and seeing if they're even going to make the roster. Like that's also another plus you can have for this team. Um, and for other players, like I saw Albert Johansson's having a good stretch over the last couple of days. I'm seeing like the defensemen are playing well. The top line continue to play well, and that bottom nine scoring is really like it's found its footing a little bit, and that's something you need if you're like to keep yourself sane if you're a Red Wings fan.
Yeah, and the thawing out of some of the coldest streaks on this team, like Andrew Copp finally getting his, James Van Riemsdyk has thawed out and more. Really, the last two guys are Marco Casper and Elmer Soderblom that need to get going because legitimately everybody, Lucas Raymond has scored, Larkin scored, Finney scored, Cat scored this week, Copp scored this week, Kane scored this week. Danielson has not scored this week, but he got a point. Soderblom and Casper are the two guys who haven't scored, and then Moose, Comfer, and Van Riemsdyk. Van Riemsdyk has been fantastic, but Comfer and Moose have also been playing well, very limited minutes, and the defense, pretty much everybody has been getting points, minus the third pairing. So the cold streaks have been broken for a lot of these guys. I do wonder if we see Casper put up on that top line with Larkin and Raymond just to get him going and see if there is really a pair made in heaven with Finney and Danielson, like there seems to be. And you kind of work from there. Like, I think this is one of those things where you have to keep riding the hot hand and hoping that goaltending catches fire. Like John Gibson's won his last two games, and ultimately that's the most important stat for a goalie. You can talk about save percentage, you can talk about goals against average. Ultimately, if the goalie helps you win games, you are happy with their performance. Could you be happier? Yeah, you don't want to have to score 4 every game to win, but John Gibson's giving you a chance, and in his own way, this has been a hot stretch for him this season. So things are looking up after a really bad 4-game stretch. But their players look better, and so is their quality of competition. So we talked about in the cold open. We're kind of going to be talking about this Western Canada road trip a little bit. Tonight, we're recording on a Monday, as we usually do. Tonight, Detroit's in Vancouver. Of course, it is a nightcap game, so we're up till 1 a.m. during exam season. Don't say we don't try for you guys. Who am I kidding? I was going to be up anyway. But they're in Vancouver. Then they're in Calgary. Those games normally aren't as late. I think it's about an 8 p.m. start. Two teams that are bottom of their division. I believe they're both in the Pacific. Two teams, bottom of their division. This is something that you can really pounce on here. And on top of that, in our last episode, which performed very well, thank you guys for showing out for that one. I mentioned the cold open. I'll touch on it again in the outro, but thank you guys for showing so much support on our quarter season episode. That's kind of a, I don't want to say debut, but kind of like a showcase for Quinn Hughes. Like Quinn Hughes is very much the only player on Vancouver right now. Elias Pettersson, last I checked, he was day-to-day. If he's out, this should be a game that you can walk all over. If Quinn Hughes is at all interested in coming to Detroit, I mean, laying the boot to his team in front of him might just be the thing that would kind of make him more willing to do it now. We'll get into a bit more news on the Quinn Hughes front towards the end of this episode, because there are some interesting developments there that I've heard. So we'll do a little bit of check-in with that. But then you go into Calgary, who's been as bad as Vancouver, and their kind of saving grace has been fantastic play from Dustin Wolf, their goaltender, and some decent play from their blue line too, but they still can't really score. And this is a team that you've been good against. Detroit's record against Calgary in the last couple of years has been very favorable. They've had some really good results. I know last year they beat Calgary, I think both times. The year before that, it was the huge DeBrincat hat trick followed by the James Reimer shutout. So, it's a team that you pounce on well. They've made no major additions. They've arguably gotten worse. Same thing with Vancouver. They're a team that's you kind of go 50-50 with in the past couple seasons. I think I remember them splitting the season series last year. But I think it was an overtime loss because I believe Jake DeBrusk scored the overtime winner. So these are two favorable matchups against team playing bad with injured players. I think Detroit should be smelling blood in the water here. And I mean, what do you think coming out of this? I mean, if you want to give us some players that you think could be feasting against some bad teams, who do you think needs to get going? Or who do you think can be stat padding in these couple matches? What do you see from a weaker schedule this week?
Wow. First person I think when it comes to stat padding that I've watched this season is Alex DeBrincat. Mainly because that 1 week where he got star of the week, he was stat padding and stealing goals from his teammates. So you are feasting against, well, I can't say feasting because the last time we said that they're going to be feasting against a weaker level team, I think they lost. They did lose. So we can't really say feasting. But these two teams, like I just checked the standings, they're bottom two in the Pacific. These are teams that you have to capitalize on. Um, so for players who I think who could like step up, I want to see Nate Danielson have a strong 2 games. Um, like he's shown flashes of being strong. Um, as you said, if he could work well with Emmett Finney on either the second or third line, if he can even be put up to the second line, work with Kane and the Brinket, maybe like just some type of pairing that just favors Danielson a little bit, um, would serve me a little right. Like that would like if he can heat up a little bit, score a goal, get a point here and there, set up people for scoring chances, take on like whatever he needs to do that just helps him like feast here and there. That's all I need to see from him. Another player who I'd say, um, there's like you could say like Elmer Soderblom, Michael Rasmussen, those two really use their size to their advantage, please. Like Elmer Soderblom is 6'8", Michael Rasmussen 6'6". Like just using their like just be a little bit of a bruiser out there, put their body not on the line, but like you see what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah, leverage
just
your
put
size.
yeah, just do anything you can to just like make your presence felt a little bit more than you have as the season started. And then one more player who I could say, oh, obviously Marco Casper.
Yeah,
Please, I need to see him back on the scoreboard. Um, like if he wants a shot, like
at this point, like
if he wants anything to do with Team USA or anything like that, like I think
Austrian.
he needs to have a strong week. Huh?
It's from Austria.
Oh my God, Austria. I'm so
That's the
sorry.
brinket for Team USA.
I'm so sorry. See, I don't even know the players' nationalities. Austria. Okay, he'll be on the Austrian team. Anyways,
There's
just
not the Olympic.
in general, yeah, just anything to have a strong week. My God, I've lost me. See, it's you. You've done this to me. I'll
Where's the
keep bringing this up. This sounds no, I've muted it. You can't get me anymore. It's done. We're not doing this anymore. These sounds are done. We're gonna do this guy trying to fiddle with the new. We're done. Let's get back to this episode. But no, these people, the people who I just mentioned, if they can have a big week this week, against lower level opponents, that'd be nice. Another person, um, John Gibson,
Yeah,
if he plays, and Cam Talbot. Honestly, I think Cam Talbot's been slipping a little bit in terms of the amount of goals he's been letting in. Like he's been letting in 5 and probably his last 2 or 3. Um, so if those two can just continue to be or like strive to like not let in that much and stay steady for the entire game, um, like I think that will just help in terms of the whole team, like the morale. You said this team is a very emotional team. Just seeing that, I think will just boost the team up and they can probably start streaking after that.
yeah, and I think whoever gets the Calgary game is important because that is, for all intents and purposes, one of the worst offenses in hockey. Um, so whoever gets the Calgary game is kind of like a get going game. But even against Vancouver tonight, like it shouldn't be a hard task. So we're looking at those with a lot of optimism for pretty much everybody. A guy that I want to see get going is I want to see Axel Sen and Pelika have like just a monster week. Like, 3-4 points in 2 games, I think would be nice. Like just really kind of show those dynamic elements. Because he's a big fixture in what would be a Quinn Hughes trade. So at least make it hard on management if that is to happen, like make them think twice. Um, and let's really see some good play out of him, some elite play. Show those dynamic elements because I think he has been riding the brake a little bit, and at times I think he's thinking too hard. He makes a lot of messes up at the blue line. So, I think there's a lot to look on favorably. So, another guy that might have a big week, and if he wants to do anything that Prashant is talking about, uh, he's gonna need to have a big week and big end of the season, big calendar year. Big things for Moritz Seider if he wants to continue to build his MVP case. So Prashant Thayer came out and wrote a piece about how good Moritz Seider has been. And believe me, he has been good. I think one of the best things he's shown was the top 20 skaters in goals above replacement, which is similar to any like war stat or, other box score advanced stats in, baseball, basketball, whatever. Nathan MacKinnon is number one. Moritz Seider is number two by a wide margin over Rupe Hintz, who's third, which should tell you what we're talking about when we're going to push back on this MVP case a little bit. But Moritz Seider has been fantastic. Like, he's been a force. This, I guess, is a question for you a little bit. And this is also a question for the listener. What does most valuable player mean? Because Prashant mentions that it's most valuable to your team, but a lot of the times it goes to the player that's most valuable to the league, like the best player. So I guess here's the floor. If you want to, we'll start by getting our definition of this down before we get into it. So what does most valuable player mean?
Yeah. I think most valuable player should mean most valuable to the team and who really provides wins to this team. Um, I watch a lot of basketball. Most valuable player in the NBA has been skewed for years. It doesn't go to the most valuable player on the best team, or like it just doesn't go to like the most valuable player that influences winning. It just goes to the best player or who's performing the best. So I think it's been skewed for years. I think they've got it right some of the years, but I think it's been skewed for most of the years. So I feel like my definition for most valuable player would be just someone who can influence winning by their play and like by if they're on the ice, you're winning. If they're off the ice, you're like
Yeah,
not
like
losing, but like you're
plus.
influencing winning so much more than them like losing. Like if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
think.
Moritz Seider is that, honestly. Like
Yeah,
he is that. If you want to continue with what you were saying.
I think for me it comes down to like I lean that most valuable player is the player with the most value in the league. Like if you were to put if you were to swap Nathan MacKinnon and Moritz Seider, I think Detroit's probably a better team. I think you could swap Nathan MacKinnon with any player, and especially with the way he's playing right now, I just don't see like again. I know that goals above replacement is an important stat, but the person who's third on that list is Rupe Hintz, and after that it's Josh Morrissey and Essa Lindell's like in the top five. I get it. Like I get why people are high on Sider because he's the only Red Wing on that list, and all the other guys like obviously McKinnon has Makar in that list, and Rupe Hintz is like Essa Lindell and Miro Heiskanen. But Jonas Brodin is also the only Minnesota Wild player up there instead of Kirill Kaprizov. It's tricky. I think it ultimately comes down to the player with the most value on a team that is valuable. So I think in order for Detroit to have Sider win the Hart Trophy when McKinnon might damn well score 160 points, first of all, Detroit needs to be a playoff team first and foremost, like bottom line, because Colorado's on torrid pace right now. Colorado needs to cool off because, again, they might be on historic pace. Detroit needs to not only be a playoff team in my mind, but a divisional seed. So that means beating out pretty much one of Montreal or one of the two Florida teams. So either not one of two Florida, Tampa or Florida. Maybe Toronto because they're catching fire. And also put up around my number was 75 points for the Norris. So best defenseman. I just don't see Seider winning MVP. It would be nice to think, but the guy would legitimately need 90 points. And we get into a bigger topic of is Moritz Seider the Red Wings' most valuable player? Because when I was reading this from Prashant, I haven't made my own piece, but I'm not opposed to doing it. I don't know that Moritz Seider is the Red Wings' most valuable player because I'd argue there's a strong case that it's still probably Dylan Larkin. Like, I think he's giving you fantastic defense. He's your best faceoff guy by a lot. He's among one of the league's best defensive centers. He's one of your best offensive producers. I wanted to figure out how I was going to say that. And he's hasn't made mistakes like Seider has. Like I think Larkin has seldom made mistakes. He's also among the league's best in expected goals. At one point he was first. He might still be first. He's up there in creating chances. I believe he was below just Jack Eichel in terms of like expected goals or something. Like I think Dylan Larkin, if you cherry pick your own metrics, he might be in a conversation that people are uncomfortable with. And I still think it's more plausible than Moritz Seider. So I guess what are your thoughts? I mean, do you see like Lucas Raymond kind of being in that conversation? Do you see it being Moritz Seider? Do you see Dylan Larkin? And what are your outlooks on this piece from Prashant as a whole?
Honestly, I skimmed through the piece. Um, I think Moritz Seider is definitely the most valuable defenseman on the Red Wings. Like seeing him compared to the other defensemen on this team, there's a staggering difference. Um, However, looking at the whole grand scheme of things and the reality of it, do I think Moritz Seider will get a vote for MVP? No, don't think he will.
Yeah,
Do I think he's in contention? Pardon?
definitely not a first place vote. I could see like I know I know Max Boltman of the Athletic Detroit has a vote. I could see him give it if he continues on this pace, he gets like 70 something points. I could see him giving him like a fifth place vote on the ballot, but I don't even think he's getting a single
Yeah,
first place vote.
yeah. So first place vote for MVP, I don't see it happening. However, do I see him being in contention for the Norris Trophy? Absolutely. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. Um, Bar the couple of mistakes he did make in the beginning of the season and how he was playing the beginning of the season on the power play. I think if you get rid of that, he really has been, and he's picked it up as of recent. Like he's been one of the best defenders in the league, and he has been the best defender for the Red Wings this season. However, do I think he's the most valuable player for the Red Wings this season? You can definitely argue it. I do still think it's Dylan Larkin first, Lucas Raymond second, then you can go Moritz Seider, Alex DeBrincat, those four in that order. And the reason why I say that is Dylan Larkin started the season on a tear. He was
Yeah.
probably the only person who was consistent in scoring. He was scoring he was having 2 goal games multiple times in the beginning of the season. He was assisting people. He was just his defensive work was good for a center. He was he again, as you said, he has one of the best face-off percentages, I think, in the league.
Yeah.
Um, he creates a lot of chances for himself and for his team. And like as a whole, you lose Moritz Seider to injury, God forbid, but you lose Moritz Seider to injury, the team can recover, I think. You lose Dylan Larkin to injury, I don't know what happens to that team.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
obviously you have weapons, but I don't know what happens.
yeah, it gets really dicey, especially when you're talking about losing one of the two, because with Larkin, like you've seen it, like even in flashes in the Seattle game when Larkin got hit in the face, he went to the dressing room for a little bit to get stitched up and stuff. The team looked terrible. Like the team was very bad. It was a James Van Riemsdyk break that they scored. But we've seen just how bad this team can be without Dylan Larkin. Look, they lost in the playoff race in 2023. Dylan Larkin playing injured in 2025, at the top half of this year, sorry, has not been, it was not pretty. The team looked very poor. We've never seen the Red Wings without Moritz Seider, ironically. He's never even missed a game, so the German machine doesn't break. But I don't know. It's so uncomfortable where what do you value more, your top pair defenseman or your top line center? I still come down to I think Larkin is more valuable. And I know a lot of people are going to be pointing at like expected goals numbers. I think it's one of those things where I think we need to take a look at uh Kale McCarr and Moritz Seider because this is going to be the look for the Norris Trophy. And we'll get to that in a second, but just finalizing that Seider Larkin debate because I finally got the numbers up that I wanted. Larkin takes on higher quality of competition by a pretty sizable amount. Um, Dylan Larkin takes on 0.6 quality of competition, while Moritz Seider takes on 0.4. And then the Corsi fours are 2 points of difference. So Corsi four, Moritz Seider is 56, Dylan Larkin's 54. And the goals for percentage for Dylan Larkin is 60%, while Moritz Seider is 62%. So very similar numbers. Larkin's just doing it against harder competition. And he's, again, never really had a bad game this season, where I think Moritz Seider has had bigger lapses and he's had terrible turnovers and game-losing plays. Those are not something that you see on the Corsi 4 charts or, the expected goals for. Those don't really factor in. The eye test, I think, proves that Dylan Larkin has been the best player. So that's like kind of our MVP talk. But looking at the Norris, I have always been a firm believer that Cale Makar is underrated in this generation. He is an absolute, I think he's always been better than Quinn Hughes. And this season, it's just an absolute, bare knuckle. It's not close. He beats down on Quinn Hughes. 35 points in 29 games. That would put him first on the Red Wings among skaters. So that includes Dylan Larkin's points, Lucas Raymond's points. So he'd be the highest scoring Red Wing. If you look down at his deployments, they are heavily offensive. So he's in the offensive zone 60% of the time, where Moritz Seider is in there 45% of the time. So a pretty big gap. He's getting more offensive starts. Moritz Seider has a better Corsi 4, but Cale Makar's goals for percentage is 10% better. So 10% of the goals that go on the ice are Arizona Colorado's. Now, this is kind of where we get into that team debate. Moritz Seider is kind of the Red Wings' best player most of the time when he's on the ice, while Cale Makar has support from a fantastic Colorado team. Not to mention Detroit's goaltending has been bad, while Colorado's has been steady. And the other thing is Cale Makar plays with Nathan MacKinnon, and he already has a bunch of points with MacKinnon to show for it. So the top power play unit that I'm looking to find here that I cannot for some reason sees Cale Makar having 9 power play points, which is, again, not that crazy. I think Siders is actually very close to that. But he's doing it playing alongside Devin Taves, who's a lot better than Simon Edvinsson is. And again, for the life of me, I cannot find the amount of points that Nathan MacKinnon has factored in on. I don't know why. Again, the debate for this will likely come down to who's more valuable to their team and if Seider can sell that debate. So it's a great piece from Prashanth. I definitely recommend giving it a read. I almost had a listen. Giving it a read. It's something to think about, but I wouldn't be, again, if Moritz Seider doesn't win MVP or the Norris, I wouldn't be too terribly surprised. I think it's going to take a huge uptick in production, which he has been doing recently, but it's about sustaining that. And I think this is a conversation that needs to get rehashed after the Olympic break. So with that, we're going to be heading into our final segment. We know this is a shorter episode, but it's exam season. We're going to be heading into our final segment, which is our weekly MVPs and our best moments. So Shola, if you want to kick us off, who's your week MVP and what is your best moment of the week?
I already saw who your week MVP and best moment of the week is, so just to have some parity, I'm gonna give my week MVP to Moritz Seider. He had 6 points this week. Didn't even know that, but he had 6 points this week. A bunch of assists, a goal. I think he had 5 assists and a goal. Solid defensively. We just did a 10-minute segment on if he's the MVP of the league. So if you're having that much talks, he had to have played good this week. So I'm gonna give him my week MVP. If he goes in this pace, if he continues in this pace, point per game, maybe a point and a half per game, as you continue for the rest of the season, who knows? Maybe he is MVP. The Red Wings have to win games, though. They have to win games at the guaranteed playoff spot. They have to look good, and then if he doesn't play, they have to look terrible without him for him to be MVP. That's really how MVP works in my eyes. So he's been playing well. He's been a net positive, I think, really for this team. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with for week MVP. For best moment, I just you know what? I'm gonna give two. One of them is going to be Patrick Kane's winner against the Kraken. They like that winner was electric. Um, he still got it in him. As you see, you called him Mr. Showtime. Like he is Showtime. He's another player who I call Mr. Consistent on his team. I know he hasn't really been consistent, but he's been injured. And as he gets back to full fitness, full form, and gets back to the player who we like all Red Wings fans know him to be, I think you look to him to be a player who you can just ride on, not like, but like you can just be like as a person you can just like like who's just really consistent and really steady to be on that second line and on the power plays and everything like that. So, and one more, I saw a clip of it was in the Bruins game of Finney, Larkin, Raymond, and Ben Sherrod connecting for like a team goal off of a fast break, and that goal, just aesthetics wise, looked nice. So I'm gonna give that as my not even as like it was a cool moment to see just off pure aesthetics. It really didn't do much. It was a good goal to have, but like off pure aesthetics, that's why I put it as my best moment. So what do you got, Alex?
Yeah, so I decided to pick somebody that we probably won't pick again. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't say James Van Riemsdyk was my week MVP. Moritz Seider has been absolutely incredible, as has Lucas Raymond. Patrick Kane has had a fantastic week, but I feel like those are names we're going to see down the road a little bit more. And I do want to give some credit to James Van Riemsdyk. He's never had a season in his career where he scored less than double-digit goals. He has 5 in a week right now. Hopefully, he can end the season with 10 to 15, and that would be a huge win for that fourth line. And he single-handedly kept them in a lot of games this week. And when the margins have been so close, obviously 1 goal in Seattle, 1 goal in Columbus, 1 goal in Boston, 1 goal in the game before in Boston. With the margins of error being so thin, those James Van Riemsdyk goals have pretty much got you a point or a win in pretty much all of them. So a lot of credit to him. He's earned that. I wrote down the kid goal, the sending Pelika to Danielson to Finney power play goal, but my moment of the week is going to be these Quinn Hughes rumors, which I said I would talk about. So I'm going to do a little bit of news breaking here. One thing that David Pegnotta mentioned is that Quinn Hughes might have some unspoken trade protection next year. That's a concern. Is for Vancouver, sorry, not for the rest of the league. If Quinn Hughes has some kind of trade protection in the final year of his deal, Vancouver might need to move him sooner rather than later, because then Quinn Hughes is in complete control of where he gets to go, so they won't get the best offer. Speaking of offers, there seems to be two. Friedman has made it very clear that it's a two-headed snake right now, and he prefers Detroit for the package. He says it wouldn't include Larkin, Raymond, or Seider, but he said that it would need a center. So you're looking at Casper or Danielson to play behind Elias Pettersson. Red Wings fans, that's fine. Who cares? Don't. I'm sorry. Shut up if you're saying otherwise. That's completely fine. One of those two is going to be the centerpiece. And the sticker shock of a potential trade will tell you everything you need to know. If it's like Casper and a first, Quinn Hughes is not re-signing here, and they've had a verbal agreement already that he's not going to stay. If it's Casper, ASP, because you're swapping offensive defensemen for young offensive defensemen, that I think that would be something that Vancouver would be looking for pretty much explicitly, plus an A-tier prospect, likely one of Kosa or Augustine. Maybe they take a flyer on Lombardi. I could see them being interested in Bear. Potentially MBN, although I think that Detroit probably would stay away from that. And then some first-round picks. I think there would be a silent agreement that Quinn Hughes is staying. He's played at school in Michigan. He would be closer to his brothers while playing in Detroit. Friedman likes it a lot, and he's the NHL's biggest insider. I think going off of this, it starts with that trade protection rumor. If there is really trade protection, because again, if David Pagnotta can't get it confirmed, there's no chance I can, right? Like he's an insider, I'm a guy. If there is trade protection in the final year of his deal, of any kind, this might come to a head faster than we think. And of the teams in a bidding war, Philly has been mentioned to be in there, but I don't think Philly can provide as interesting as an offer. It would take probably Porter Martone, and I don't think they have an interesting young defenseman. I don't think they're parting ways with Mitchkov, and I don't think he fits their timeline. So I don't think Philly's a competitive team for this. The Devils are, but the Devils are going to be cap strapped, especially if they move Nemec. If you remember, they were in serious cap problems this summer. That's where the Dougie Hamilton to Detroit rumors came from, because they had to sign Luke Hughes. If they are to take on Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, and Jack Hughes, who all need contracts, Luke Hughes just got re-signed, but Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes are going to need contracts in the next couple of years. Quinn a little sooner. New Jersey isn't as cap comfortable as Detroit is. Detroit is, for all intents and purposes, the team that Vancouver should want to do a deal with of all the teams that are interested. But it depends on what Quinn Hughes' protection looks like, and also if he's willing to sign with Detroit long term. Nobody's stupid. Everybody in hockey knows that there is under the table conversations that happen long in advance. We knew Mitch Marner was going to sign in Vegas pretty much at the start of last season. Detroit would have to talk to Quinn Hughes' agent before anything goes down. If they get a yes, they will put all the chips in. I have no doubt about that. If they are unsure if Quinn Hughes will resign, I don't think they're getting a good trade. And I don't think they're going to get a trade done, because I think they would rather keep ASP and Casper than chance this. But if it's a sure thing, they will go out and get Quinn Hughes. So those are the rumors there. Some other things, Pagnota mentioned that Buchnevich might be a name on the market, who's somebody that we've talked about. So there are some lesser options to go after. But that's our show for this week. We're going to get into our weekly predictions as our bonus segment here. But largely, keep an eye out on what you see from those rumors. NHL Rumor Report, thank you for following us on Twitter. Keep an eye with them. They are the first to break everything. They're where we get a lot of this news from. So keep a huge eye on them for anything, even if you're not a fan of the Red Wings. They will keep you up to date with everything league-wide. So before we get into our final send-off and predictions, we just wanted to thank you guys. Today was another big day for the show. I actually checked my phone for the first time. Today was another day where we had 42 downloads. This last episode garnered a combined 254, which has been our second best episode to date by a country mile. We are currently 27 downloads away from 1,000, which would be 1,010 episodes, which is a milestone that we're really happy to hit. And we're hoping you guys stick with us and see us over on Twitter for any segments you guys want to see, any changes you want to make. We're in it for you guys. So Shola, we'll let you kick us off with your predictions for this week.
First off, yeah, I do actually do want to thank you. In the episode that you'll probably see clipped up on YouTube, that Alex was just killing me with killing my ears. I actually did
Here's
thank
the sound effect for you guys listening. I think I played it. It's this. It was this. There you go. So
just
I'll put the clip
that sound. Just think of that sound playing in my ear, but it was Alex can hear it just fine. I can hear it mashed up in my ear, and it's distorted. Oh my god, it killed me.
Well, I was
Anyways,
also playing the lo-fi music in the background.
It was bad, but
sell it.
just in general, I do actually want to thank. I checked when Alex was telling me about the episode's doing pretty well. I checked Transistor. I did not think it would do that well, and it did. So I do appreciate everybody listening. Alex is the one who handles our Twitter. Maybe I'll start handling Twitter a little bit later. I am a little busy though. So we'll see. But whatever segments,
I'll put the clips up on Twitter, but I don't even have
yeah,
that Twitter
I'll see that.
Seldom used.
Yeah. But whatever you want to see, YouTube comments, Twitter comments, we'll listen to them. We'll do them. You know we will. What else would we do? So, anyways, before I get off track, week predictions. I'm gonna go rapid fire. Vancouver win. Calgary win. Edmonton loss. and then Chicago wins. So 3-1 on the week. Player predictions. Moritz Seider star of the week. I'm
Okay.
going big time on him. 7 points plus. I'm
7 and
going
4. Okay. I'll
yeah,
go. I'll
7
go.
4 games.
I'll go. Canucks win. Flames win. Edmonton. I'll go overtime loss. Maybe we get the point there. And I think Chicago's just been so bad recently. And Kane, Patrick Kane, best Blackhawk of all time. I won't hear otherwise. He might be up for goal 500 when Chicago comes around. That might be the moment of the week. So on that alone, I'll say we go 3-0-1. Patrick Kane scores goal 500 in Chicago, and just the building melts down like it did when he returned there and scored the overtime winner. So that's my player prediction for the week. So again, we want to thank you guys. We'll be back with you next Monday. The episodes go up on Tuesday, typically, to recap everything with you guys. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for showing all the love on the last couple episodes, and we hope to be back with you guys soon and continuing on no matter what changes happen with the websites, the YouTubes, all other things. So have a good week, guys, and thank you guys for tuning in.